As the green flag flies again, we are underway, the World Figure 8 Championship, and the caution remains out.
Yeah, those guys were getting ready to start, and there was a few slow vehicles moving through the crossover right there. They're going to reset this before they turn them loose once again.
Indianapolis Speedrome, World Figure 8, World Figure 8 Tour, World Figure 8 Cars, World Figure 8 Championship, greatest Figure 8 race on the planet, world's home of the Figure 8, the home of the Figure 8, World Figure 8 Network are all registered trademarks of Checkered Flag Enterprises, LLC. Doing business as the Indianapolis Speedrome is copyrighted property and registered trademark and service marks of the Indianapolis Speedrome. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of the pictures and accounts of this race without express written consent of the Indianapolis Speedrome is prohibited. So Scott and I, again, storylines, let's talk about them. Jack Dossie Jr., 46 minutes remaining. Does he need to make the second pit stop of the event for himself? Can Curtis McMurtry get back around Jack Dossie Jr. in enough time to reclaim the lead? Can an out-of-towner win this race for only the third time in the 33 previous events of the World Figure 8 Championship of the 44 of Chris Harmon?
And who will survive? Who will emerge with a great top 10 finish? Who will earn those special awards we've been talking about all night? The Super Stock Award, the Sonny Eaton Award, and the Sonny Thompson Awards. Still plenty to go here with 45 minutes. Another season full of crashes, smashes, and competition.
So the pace car, the pace truck, still pacing the field around the facility. 289 laps this time by for Jack Dossie Jr. We're moving into the final 45 minutes of this event. Still a whole bunch of cars on the racetrack. 26 cars by my count at this time, so lots of cars still here for another 45 minutes. I think we're still looking to maybe getting to 400 laps, Scott and I, if we could stay clean and green for a while.
That's right. A pretty impressive 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we're still almost at the starting field number.
All right, the green flag does fly this time by for Jack Dossie Jr. on lap 290.
Yeah, 9 Figure 8 World Championships and 11 Speedrome track titles. 12 Speedrome track titles up there in the front as Bruce Tunney tries to get one of his laps back from Jack Dossie Jr.
Fourth place, oh my goodness, at the north end, the 44 of Chris Harmon, the one of Showtime, Jay Hinson, got the car of the 44 machine airborne. A huge crash at the northwest corner of the track of the fourth turn. Hinson gets going fine, but that was a super fly move for the 44 of Chris Harmon.
Yeah, that's about the fourth or fifth wreck that Jay Hinson has either been in or around, and his car pulls away every single time.
And the 44 does as well. Will he make a pit? There goes Burgess, so what's happening?
Chris Harmon looks like he's got some flat tires, some front end damage right there as he heads off the track. The left front's not moving there. Maybe the tie rod's broke or whatever. They're going to have to get to work on that. Looks like that podium finish could be slipping away there for Chris Harmon.
I couldn't quite tell what you were trying to tell me. You said, hey, Jonathan, look at the screen. And that's what I did, and now I see the 44 Chris Harmon heading to the pits with that damage to the left front of his car after that huge crash. Airborne cars is the theme of the World Figure 8 Championship for 2010.
Yeah, we've seen several make contact, with those big, wide Goodyear tires on there. When you get tire-to-tire contact, something's got to give, and usually that means one of the cars moving to the sky.
Well, with the 44 machine of Chris Harmon heading out of the racetrack, there's Jay Hinson, who was kind of stalled there with radiator damage. I don't think we're going to go to green flag this time as the field was starting to build up the speed. Hinson, it's hard to imagine that him not getting the damage from that, and now we do see there was damage and is damage on the one of Jay Hinson.
I think I finally managed to jinx another guy there, Jonathan. He'd been in 5 or 6 wrecks, drove away from all, and now finally it looks like his cooling system's given up right there. Jay's gotten out of the car to take a look to see if it's something they could fix. He's in the running for that Rookie of the Race award. He still may win the Rookie of the Race award because he's been out there for so long, and also because these guys are going to go back to the pits and try to fix it. We know these California guys don't give up. Rod Proctor was in several big wrecks early on, came back, till finally his car was no longer able to fix.
I couldn't even venture a guess on the Sonny Thompson Award right now, because every time somebody starts to make a run, they don't make any position up. I mean, a lot of the cars at the top of the field have fallen backwards. A lot of the cars that were in the back of the field haven't really made their way up. So it's going to be really interesting at the end of this race to see who does win these special awards.
Yeah, we have a lot of guys from maybe about 5th place through 15th who've all suffered damage but are now back out soldiering through, you know, and some are rising up the standings, some are falling down the standings as these laps wind on. So we may not know who wins those awards until the final flag is flown.
What's really interesting, I was going to get ready to say, is that with the 44 machine of Chris Harmon exiting the race, that has moved the 69 of RJ Norton back into that 3rd position. RJ unofficially maybe 2, maybe 3 laps down because of his pit stop. If the 20 machine pits, it's going to be a real dogfight to see when that happens. Who comes out as the leader? Will it be the 69 of RJ Norton or the 72 of Curtis McMurtry? But the green flag flies again, and Norton gets around the 72 of McMurtry. Does that put Norton in 2nd place? We'll find out in just a few moments. It's Jack Dossie Jr. in the 20, your leader, with 40 minutes and 42 seconds remaining on lap number 298.
Yeah, and both those drivers you were speaking of, Norton in the 69 and McMurtry in the 72, they're right there in striking distance of Dossie. So let's see if they can advance another lap as we're going on right here with them in close contact.
44, Chris Harmon back on the racetrack with the 00 of Mike Burgess. So that damage must have been just a flat tire as he almost gets hit by the 15 of Jack Smith at the crossover. But Chris Harmon back on the racetrack here in the World Figure 8 Championship.
Yeah, with not losing very much, he's probably still running 4th or 5th right now in that race, only losing a couple of laps in that melee. So he's still in the running for a top 5, but I think his shot at the podium is going to need some help from one of these 3 guys in front of him.
That right there was the 300th lap completed for the 20 machine of Jack Dossie Jr. Jack Dossie Jr., if he completes 464 laps in this race, that will be 7,500 laps completed in his World Figure 8 Championship career.
Yeah, and of those 7,500 laps, he's hovering somewhere around the 30 percentile of leading those laps of the 7,500, which is also an incredible statistic.
This is the 15th race that Jack Dossie Jr. has led. He needed to lead 76 laps in this race to go over that 2,000 lap lead mark. Unbelievable history, an unbelievable driver, the 20 of Jack Dossie Jr.
I'd say he's probably accomplished that feat or is getting ready to momentarily.
RJ Norton Jr. is furiously trying to track down the machine. RJ Norton in the 69 trying to get to Jack Dossie Jr., but Dossie pulls open to about a 4.5 second advantage over Norton.
Yeah, and at this point, RJ Norton Jr. is looking for that small piece of luck that almost every world champion has to have during the 3-hour endurance race to get him to the win, because RJ has drove a flawless race so far.
And I was just thinking about this is the time a couple years ago, and I'm not jinxing Jack Dossie Jr. here by any stretch of the imagination. I'm hitting every piece of wood in this scoring tower right now. But this was the point 2 years ago that Jack Dossie Jr. with a huge lead came out of this race and lost it. So he has to avoid all this crossover crashing and all of these cars, and he will be a 7-time World Figure 8 champion. And we wish him the best as he goes through the rest of this event, as the 03 at the south end makes a little spin as well. And there it goes, Doug Craig, tiptoeing through the tulips of the crossover to miss the 44 machine of Chris Harmon, the 24 of Larry Hahn.
Yeah, Jack's trying to erase that image that everybody's been seeing replayed over and over on television for the past 2 years. Nearly everybody in the state has seen that replay of that gruesome crash that cost him $20,000. He's trying to remedy that tonight and take home another big prize.
309th lap. Jack Dossie. RJ's on his tail now. RJ Norton Jr. in the 69 machine. He wants to get a lap back. His tires might be a little fresher than the 20s of Jack Dossie Jr., but we said the same thing about the 72 of Curtis McMurtry, and that didn't seem to help as Curtis has fallen well back, almost a half a lap behind those two competitors. At the crossover, Harmon makes Dossie and Norton make evasive maneuvers. Here on the inside is Norton trying to get a lap back. He does around Dossie. So give RJ Norton Jr. one of his laps back on lap number 311 with 36 minutes and 36 seconds remaining.
Yeah, we'll be anxious to see how that cycles RJ through the scoring right there as he's charging 110%, and maybe those tires are what made the difference in getting that pass right there. Now Dossie is stalking Norton going through turn 4.
Whoa, Calkins and Nistic. The Florida boys are really going at it all the time. They have continued running.
Yeah.
Side by side, Norton, Dossie.
Yeah, and that battle between the two Florida drivers engulfed the two leaders right there and has now given Dossie a chance to get back around RJ Norton Jr.
Dossie used the 80 machine of Eddie Rogers as a pick for RJ as he was following the 55 of Wayne Calkins. The slower car was in front of Norton, and so that allowed Dossie to get back around the 69 machine of RJ Norton Jr. and put him down that lap he had just regained.
RJ still relentlessly following him right there on his bumper, looking for an opening on his part to get back as they charge into turn 3 here with nearing the half hour mark to go.
And at the north end, the 71 of Steve Frost, you just saw him. He's got a folded over left front, and I think his night might be done as he just came back on the racetrack, I think, Scott.
Yeah, and he's got that damage, and he's going to have a heck of a time trying to get back to the pits. It's definitely something repairable right there, but he's going to have a heck of a time steering through the traffic to get to the pits.
It's completely parallel to the ground. I don't know how you can make a left turn with the tires like that.
That's right. It's turned from a tire to a jack stand.
So Frosty again in that familiar position. Unfortunately, he has been near that spot in the crossover all evening long. He's about 25 feet to the west of that, where he has been stalled or stopped or waiting for traffic to get through all evening long. He's still trying to fight that machine. He wants to get to the pits and not lose too many more laps, because Steve Frost is a competitor and he loves this World Figure 8 Championship.
That's right, and his crew over the last couple of weeks have really gotten a lot of speed dialed into that car. He was strong in last week's 1-hour endurance race, was fairly quick tonight, but he's had the luck not go his way so far.
And his stablemate, the 88 machine of Manny Aguilar, made this race on time as well. So great work by the reliable crew there for Steve Frost. Steve Frost Jr., Steve Frost Jr. won the Rookie of the Year. Now we've got a tire fall off the 03 machine on the south end with the axle. So the 03 machine of insert blank here, we'll do that in post-production, has lost his tire at the south infield loop.
Yeah, the mystery driver's night has ended. It's a good thing that the tire has settled down there in the infield area, because like you mentioned, that axle's attached to it. Don't want a car running into that, sending it airborne, but it's in the infield for now. We stay under green.
Jeff Swinford does a loop-de-loop there. You see some smoke at the right of your screen. That's where that car has come from. But still, we're moving to the half-hour mark. It's Dossie in 20, 72 McMurtry, 69 Norton. That's your top 3 unofficially.
The chaos is continued here as we near the 30-minute mark to go in this race. Norton goes side by side going into turn 3, trying to get that lap back. Dossie's chosen going behind Larry Hahn, while Norton's followed the smoking Swinford car, and that's not worked out well for RJ on that lap.
Smoking Swinford car stalls the stately steed of Norton. I tried to put as many S's together as we could there. But he does not succeed, and Norton stays behind the 20 of Dossie.
Yeah, because as we've talked several other times in this race, RJ probably doesn't know exactly how many laps he's behind Dossie. He just knows he needs to pass him, and pass him now.
And he knows he's in third place. He looks at it every time through the north end of the racetrack at the electronic message board. So he desperately needs to get through. He doesn't know if Dossie needs to make a pit stop. All he knows is he's got to go as fast as he can and complete as many laps as he can and see how it shakes out at the completion of 3 hours.
Right, because if he keeps passing that 20 car, something good's going to happen.
It's Dossie and Norton, nose to tail, but first and third in the running order.
Yeah, these guys are fighting pretty hard there, tooth and nail, bumper to bumper, and they're having to watch out for these cars that are crippled, slowed, and they're having their troubles. They just don't want to get involved in them.
We saw the 03 machine make a quick dash to the pits, and he got out of there. So he leaves his fourth wheel behind, goes on 3 wheels, and makes it to the pits.
Yeah,
and I don't know how you could replace an axle.
No, the car may have completed one more lap than that wheel and axle has.
31 minutes, 10 seconds to go for Jack Dossie Jr. Does he need to make a pit stop? And there hasn't been a caution in a few minutes now here, Scott. We're starting to get into that rhythm that we talked about.
Yeah, and the laps are going to start piling up now. 30 minutes to go. These guys could put up another 100 laps very quickly. So if there is a situation where he needs to pit for tires or fuel, most likely fuel, that can catch up to him rather quickly if we stay green.
About how long does it take to do a pit stop, and what are the processes and things that are usually accomplished at a pit stop in the World Figure 8 Championship?
Well, like we were talking earlier under caution, the guys shoot at a very successful pit stop of losing 1 lap for 4 tires and fuel. Jack, at this point, we've gone so far in the race, he may not choose to take tires. He may just choose to take the gas to keep the advantage as big as it possibly can. He might make that call because of the speed the car's in. So it's tricky, but if you go in under green, you're going to lose 3 to 5 laps. So that you really like to not use that option.
Jack Dossie Jr. still turning laps in the 18-second range as they go side by side. There goes Norton to get his lap back again, but can he get through as Norton will follow the 48 of TP as Dossie is behind the smoking Swinford.
Yeah, this time the Swinford machine works to Norton's advantage, where last time it was Dossie's advantage. Used it as a pick, got back in front, but they have a pack of about 10 cars directly in front of them right now, so whoever negotiates through that best can get out in front.
Dossie in traffic that time, loses a lap that he had Norton behind him. 18.5 seconds that time by for Jack Dossie in traffic.
Something else to watch for here, Jonathan. These two are also catching the 72 of Curtis McMurtry, so we're going to see if Norton can move into second place here as they negotiate Art Grew and Roger Maynard going into turn 1.
So that gave a little bit of breathing room, but now the Norton machine is right on the tail of the 72 McMurtry. This could be a battle for second place right here after 2.5 hours of racing. A battle for second on the racetrack at this very second.
Yeah, and when McMurtry came out from his pit stop, it looked like his tires were very helpful in his speed, but after, not too long after that, he leveled off rather quickly, and these guys have been putting in some great laps to run him down.
Side by side with Island Hargraves goes the 72 of Curtis McMurtry. Now Norton does get around him, and he gets around him at the stripe. So R.J. Norton Jr. may have just pulled off a pass for second place, and officially or unofficially, the scoreboard reflects it. So now, give R.J. Norton Jr. second place in the 34th greatest figure 8 race on the planet.
And we talked about Norton not knowing how far he is behind Dossie, but looking up there and seeing his name move to second place is going to put some pep in his step as we near the last 20 minutes or so of this event.
And guess who wants a caution right now?
Yeah, that would be R.J. Norton Jr.
And he would love to see the 20 machine of Jack Dossie Jr. make that possible pit stop that we've spoken about the past 30 minutes or so.
Yeah, I believe he would like the opportunity of going head-to-head with 20 minutes to go for $20,000 against arguably one of the greatest figure 8 drivers to ever have lived.
So Norton on the outside of Wayne Calkins. Wayne still piling on laps as many times as he's had problems through the evening as well. Roger Maynard in the 28 almost gets the wrath of the front bumper of Dossie through the crossover.
Just another close call in this long distance event.
340 laps this time by for Jack Dossie Jr. As we believe he is the one car on the lead lap at this second. but there's a possibility that Norton, well, he's definitely one lap down, we're guessing, at this unofficial point in the race. I know it's hard to say, but after that pit stop, we know he did go down 2.
Yeah, what he's done now is interjected 3 slower cars in between him and Dawsey, trying to pull away.
Here come the leaders in smoke. It's the 9 of Leonard Basham and the 0 of Hargraves. They get through the smoke. McMurtry really had no idea what would happen as the smoke really made the crossover hard to see. Can everybody get through? Basham now is moving again. Hargraves has come to a stop as everybody will go through the second corner. Will they miss Hargraves? Harmon almost does it. The 44 almost hits the 0 of Alan Hargraves.
I tell you what, Jonathan, if I had $1 for every wreck Basham would be in, I'm buying dinner tomorrow.
And we are under caution. The yellow flag is waving with 26 minutes and 15 seconds. 343 laps completed for your leader, the 20 of Jack Dawsey Jr. And we see Jack going right now. Almost gets hit by Gator Jones. He goes for the pit stop. Here's the race right here.
Yeah, and R.J. Norton Jr. was saying thank you very much for that caution, but I tell you what, Dawsey blasted right around that pace car there coming out of turn 2. So I don't know what the officials are going to have to say about that. We'll have to wait and see. But Norton definitely is going to use that for his advantage. He's hoping to cycle through the traffic right here and get back with Jack Dawsey and get that one-on-one battle that we've talked about. But Jack's got a great pit crew. We'll see what they do.
All right, so we just saw Norton and McMurtry both go around and pass the 20 of Jack Dawsey Jr. in the pits at the north end of the Indianapolis Speedrome. So 25 minutes, 22 seconds. We are looking at the pit entrance gate from the pits to the racetrack. When will we see the 20 of Jack Dawsey Jr. as he makes an attempt to his 7th World Figure 8 Championship, this all-important pit stop?
Yeah, this is only the 1,456th dramatic moment we've had in this race so far as we watch the pit gate to see if a pink car emerges as the pace truck heads that direction.
Well, I don't believe he will get ahead of the field now. The stop sign comes out, so the field will get to go by the racetrack. There's the Dawsey machine right there on your screen. You see him entering the frame. So the field will go around Jack Dawsey Jr. once again. That will allow McMurtry and Norton to get another lap back on the leader. And now we show the 69 machine as he will come across the stripe, unofficially your leader. So the final 24 minutes and 24 seconds of this race will come down between the 20 of Dawsey in second place and the 69 of R.J. Norton Jr., your leader.
And now they should be on the same lap, and the pendulum is going to swing the other way with Dawsey now having fresh rubber on his car. Let's see what the 20 could do with those tires.
Do you think they changed 2 rears?
I would imagine they put tires on that car, maybe even 4 tires.
All right, the green flag flies. We're back underway with a new leader. It's R.J. Norton Jr., the lead change on lap number 346.
And also another note, McMurtry's 3 or 4 car lengths in front of Norton right there. So if there's another quick caution right here, McMurtry could come back around. We could all of a sudden turn this into a 3-way fight here with 23 minutes left to go in the event.
Wow. Last year, throughout the 2009 World Figure 8 Championship, we had the 51 of Rodney Sizemore and the 5 of Ben Tunney fight tooth and nail and lead change after lead change to the final hour of that race. So we had 2 cars on the lead lap. Now, the potential is to have 3 cars on the lead lap with just about 23 minutes remaining.
Right, in that leading trio, we have 8 World Figure 8 titles represented, as well as 9 Speedrome Late Model Track Championship. RJ has 0 in both of those columns. He looks to rectify that tonight and put all those demons to bed and win this World Figure 8 Championship.
Seth Nistick spins out at turn number 2 as the leaders come by. He will wait as he backs up there for the leaders. So you're on your screen. That is the 69 of R.J. Norton Jr. Nistick back underway there. And the crossover for McMurtry for Norton. They both had to take drastic action at the maelstrom in the crossover, but they get out unscathed.
But those heavy hesitations right there gave Jack a full clean run through the crossover to make up some ground on that lap.
Jack Dawsey Jr. about 7.5 seconds behind R.J. Norton Jr. RJ wants to get around the 72 to make sure he's got a little bit of distance between those two. The 72 of Curtis McMurtry desperately wanting a caution at this point so that he can get, oh, does he hit the crossover? That's the hit, that's the hit. 128 meter. I think Dossie can't turn left. He's still turning right. He might have broken the suspension, and there we go.
Looks
that
like
was
fluid
a big
too.
hit.
The radiator is broken on Jack Dossie Jr.'s car as well.
Unbelievable. Jack Dossie Jr. trying to get to the pit lane. He took a shot from the 28 of Roger Maynor. And just like that, Jack Dossie Jr.'s 7th World Figure 8 Championship hopes are gone.
He's even stalled in the pit lane right there because that suspension damage, as you mentioned, when he couldn't turn all the way around there in the crossover, has now forced him to not be able to turn to head towards his own pit spot. So he's just drowning in laps lost right now.
Caution is out. The Gator Jones machine has had some problems. The 81 there, his front, everything in front is the damage, and Jack is not happy there on the screen because he knows once again 364 days will have to pass for him to race in this World Figure 8 Championship to get that elusive 7th title.
I tell you what too, Jonathan, his life must have flashed in front of his eyes for RJ Norton as well, because when Jack went spinning around, he almost collected the 69 of Norton as he was charging to the south end right there. So RJ had to go, oh my goodness, he's going to take me out when he's spinning around right here. And now Norton knows that Dossie's out of the race. He knows he's leading this World Championship with just 20 minutes left to go.
We're going to take a quick timeout. This will probably be our last stop. This is the 34th World Figure 8 Championship on the World Figure 8 Network.
Professional video production at reasonable rates. Call Wood Innovative Group 435-9579 or visit our website at wigtv.com.
Speedrome.com is the best source for information for the world's home of the figure 8. Speedrome.com has pictures, video highlights, point standings, and up-to-the-minute results, including the 34th Annual World Figure 8 Championship. Log on to Speedrome.com. It's RJ Norton Jr., your leader, with under 15 minutes to go.
That's right. The whole circumstance of the race has changed now. With Dossie now out of it, we don't know how far behind McMurtry is. He's definitely someone to be reckoned with. He made up a lap during that deal too because he was just ahead of the leaders. So still got 2 cars in the fight. And Chris Harmon, we thought he was out of it when he plowed into the wall airborne over there a few minutes ago. Now he's moved back up onto the podium, waiting for some more help to get himself to the front.
You know, through the crossover, Pintani has almost gotten the leader there. We don't talk about it as often. It may not be as prevalent in figure 8 racing as it is in other oval track racing, but Jack Dossie Jr. had to come back onto this racetrack in the back of the field, and within a few laps after his pit stop, we see what happens. Clean air does mean something, even figure 8 racing, and now look at this big, huge pile up. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cars. Jeremy Vanderhoof, the 44 of Harmon, the 55 of Wayne Calkins, who we thought was in the top 10. Who else is there?
Roger Maynor.
Roger Maynor in that machine, who just took out the 6-time world champion. I think that's a Tunney car in there as well. That might be the 17 of Mark Tunney. There's another car that I don't know who is. That's just be in front or behind of the 44 of
We're
Chris
hearing
Harmon.
maybe McMurtry's in that.
It could be. Do we see McMurtry anywhere else? We do not. So McMurtry is in that pile up as well.
So now we've got the 2nd and 3rd place car involved in this wad over here in turn 3. This is going to take a little bit to sort out right here as you see the wreckers pulling onto the track to try to pull these guys apart. Drivers from several states right there wadded up in there. And
Michigan,
that is McMurtry's
Florida.
car right there.
Yep.
To the right of Vanderhoof's number 6 machine. You could just see the right rear corner of it. Almost didn't even notice it right there in that wreck with the other cars.
Absolutely amazing. And now
just 5 minutes ago, we were talking about how R.J. Norton was hoping for a caution, and now all of a sudden, his challengers have fallen off the radar. We don't know what kind of damage McMurtry's got right there, but he's going to lose some laps.
Well, if the field can't get through, and
a lot of times
official Speedrome rules is if you don't make that marker tire,
well, but
the lap won't be counted, and there's nowhere to go, and the pace truck basically has come to a stop heading down the backstretch here.
Well, a lot of years they'll run them underneath that marker tire as an official's decision, and will not penalize them for that.
So Harmon gets away first. So I don't think
is that Mark Tunney in that as well?
Yeah, I believe the 17 of Mark Tunney was in that, as the 4 is right there. So I knew that was a Vaughter Automotive sponsored machine.
Yeah, they're the field is the pace car is kind of trying to figure out where to go right here.
Calkins
sorting it out.
Calkins was in the top 10 at one point here, we thought, and now he's turned around and lost the fire of that machine. The clock doesn't stop in this race, Scott and I. We're at 365 laps complete. And at about 3 seconds, 3 laps a minute, that's only going to be about 30-some. So I don't think we're going to get to lap 400, though.
Yeah.
But R.J. Norton Jr. doesn't mind.
No, because whether it's 390 laps or it's 400 laps, he's still going to pay $20,000 for that. I looked it up just a few minutes ago. 1996 was the last year that we didn't get to 400. Dawsey won that year, completing 399 laps.
Wow. 11 minutes, 10 seconds now remaining.
But us not reaching the 400 lap mark is certainly not a mark on how this race has went.
No.
It's been incredible. And as you see now, they're taking them underneath that marker tire right there. That they're not going to lose a lap, not being scored for that, because the officials are sending them underneath that marker. So this lap is definitely going to count, and really going to cost Curtis McMurtry right here, as he's still motionless, caught up with these machines, losing 1 lap already.
Well, what's interesting is the scoring on the Indianapolis Speedrome electronic message board now has the 44 machine of Chris Harmon in second place. So that's quite an amazing turn of events. Who knows what can happen?
Wow, with all the stuff that's happened to Chris Harmon tonight, been airborne, been in a couple of wrecks.
This wreck in particular as well.
Yeah, I'm forgetting that. This wreck that's let him get an opportunity to go to second, he was actually involved in. He was just the first car to become untangled from the wreck, catch up to the back of the pack. Now he's moved into the runner-up spot, just 1 position away from equaling what his father did.
10 minutes remaining in the World Figure 8 Championship. The field has now come to a stop, and we have gone red. So for another year in a row, probably the 4th year in a row, we do have a red flag, but it only comes with a little less than 10 minutes remaining in this event, as the track needs to be cleaned up and the cars, as we need more and more trekkers to remove the carnage in turn number 3 of the Indianapolis Speedrome. Oh, and McMurtry, huge damage to the left front wheel. And that is why McMurtry's day will be done. Although, if they get that thing back there, if it's just the wheel, they can change it and maybe get him back out there and salvage a top 5 finish.
Right. Fans that watched our telecast or were here in person last year, remember about this time that second place Rodney Sizemore was involved in a wreck. Not quite that big of a wreck, but a wreck where they took him pit side. They tried to hastily make repairs. He came back out and the car broke instantly. He had to sit on the sidelines the last few minutes.
Under this red flag, we will take another break and bring you the final 10 minutes of this exciting event. Can R.J. Norton Jr. in the 69 bring it home and become the 17th different World Figure 8 champion? You're watching the 34th annual World Figure 8 Championship on the World Figure 8 Network. The green flag flies. We're back underway after the red flag period with 9 minutes and 44 seconds. Alongside Scott and I'm Jonathan Bird. We're bringing you the final 10 minutes here. Green flag, the checkered flag here. 365 laps complete. R.J. Norton Jr. to complete 366.
Boy, it must have been hard for RJ right there as we sat underneath the red flag for about 5 minutes, which probably gave RJ time to think about the position he was in. Now he has to get back to business and race as hard as he can, and he has one of his racing rivals right there in his rearview mirror, Bruce Tunney.
Bruce Tunney, an early leader in this event, unofficially somewhere in the top 5 right now. He's just been out here soldiering on, counting laps and turning them as much as he could as he meets his son almost at the crossover.
And that's
there.
pretty good because Bruce sat back there parked on the backstretch for, maybe a dozen or more laps.
RJ, Harmon and hits. Jay Hinton is back out in the 1. It's amazing. That guy just keeps soldiering on.
Yeah, whatever coolant problem they have, whether it been a radiator or a hose or whatever, they fixed
put
it.
it in there, right?
That's
Cracked
right.
an egg. Less than 9 minutes for RJ Norton. 44 of Harmon in second place. McMurtry in third in the 72 still, as we were waiting to see some laps go off the board to see who goes into the 4th position, and it very may well be the 4 of Bruce Tunney.
Yeah, as these last few minutes go backwards, Dawsey being in the pit area is going to move him down the standings a little bit. McMurtry being in the pit area is going to move him down the standings. And it's going to be the opportunity for those guys running 4th, 5th, and 6th to move up in that money ladder at the finish.
8 minutes for RJ Norton Jr. Through the crossover now, following the 33 of a World Figure 8 champion in his own right, Doug Gregg. RJ Norton Jr., he wants to join that club and be able to say he's a World Figure 8 champion. So many races he's won all across this country. RJ Norton Jr., the World Figure 8 championship has eluded him for so many years.
That's right. He's a 2-time winner of the Jakes 150 here at the Speedrome, which is the marquee event during the regular season for the late model division. He's saw the championship slip through his grasp by 1 lap on 2 different occasions during the regular season. Just brutal ways to lose the championship. So we're hoping that the luck holds through tonight and gets him through as RJ leads this race. The guy, he's tried to win this for a dozen or more years, and here he is leading it very late in the event.
RJ Norton Jr. now under 7 minutes to go on lap number 375. He could almost get to 400 if this stays clean and green at about 3 or 3.5 laps per minute.
Well, there's something I can guarantee you. It's not going to be from lack of trying, because RJ has 1 speed, and that's full speed, and he's not going to try to just limp home here leading this race. He's going to go full blast all the way to the finish.
RJ hard onto the binders to avoid the 00 machine of Mike Burgess, who is close for that $5,000 Kinney's Auto Sales highest finishing Superstock award. Him and Larry Hahn in the 24 machine have been battling very hard all throughout this event, and we will see who takes home that $5,000 prize.
Yeah, Burgess started this season off winning the figure 8 on opening night in our stock division, and now he could end his campaign by winning that $5,000 prize in the super stock portion of this World Figure 8 Championship. We'll see. Him and Larry Hahn are fairly close as they go towards the end.
Burgess was in the 39th position, so if he turned enough laps, he might be looking at the Sonny Thompson Award for highest improvement in position as well. We'll see how that goes.
Which is what Matt Clark did 1 year ago. He won the Superstock Award, as well as the Sonny Thompson. He came just a couple of positions shy of winning the Sonny Eaton Award as well.
RJ Norton flashes across the stripe for lap 380. 379 laps complete now for RJ Norton Jr. 5 minutes and 20 seconds remaining.
And Jonathan, Rod Proctor is back on the track.
Oh, and Jay Hinton goes around, and there come the whole field. As RJ see him, he does. Hinton gets out of the way in the 1 machine.
Wow. The California guys never say die.
Why would you drive 1,700 miles and just quit with 5 minutes remaining, right?
That's right.
Under 5 minutes now for RJ Norton Jr. Under 5 minutes for the 69 of RJ Norton Jr. Oh, Larry Hahn and Leonard Basham almost met an undeniable fate at the crossover.
Somebody else that we see on track that has not been on track for hours is Casey White. Casey White has been getting so much help from R.J. Norton Jr. and R.J. Norton III this year because R.J. Jr. hasn't ran as many races. He's been trying to help Casey with this season, and Casey's been very successful in the last few weeks, and I believe that Casey White is on track now because he wants to be on track when this race hits the checkered flag, and hopefully when his friend takes the victory.
4 minutes, 7 seconds for R.J. Norton Jr. Second place, the 44, Harmon. The third place, the 72, McMurtry. Chris Harmon, Louisville, Kentucky, will be the highest finishing out-of-towner. Pretty much locked that up with his performance tonight.
Yeah, and once again we've mentioned that his dad won the race back in 1986. He's trying to equal the best finish of his cousin Mark. He finished second back in 2005.
R.J. Norton Jr. now will strike down the backstretch to the third turn on lap 386, following the 88 World Figure 8 champion of Leonard Basham, who soldiered on many laps, and that car has looked a lot better. It is not worse for wear.
Norton trying to negotiate all this traffic here, got Basham in front of him. I'm sure he sees all the damage on Basham's car and saying, hey, stay away from me with all that wrecking going on right there as we hit the 3-minute mark to go in this World Figure 8 Championship.
Oh, they accordion a little bit. RJ had to go a little bit right in front of the leaders is Super J Hitson in the one machine.
I picked another wreck right there. RJ just happened to miss it.
Here are the figure 8 racing guys looking down on the 69 of RJ Norton Jr. and smiling. We'll find out in less than 2.5 minutes. 389 laps complete this time by for RJ. He avoids the 15 of Jack Smith and crosses the stripe.
RJ picked up a win in one of our World Figure 8 Tour races this year, holding off Jack Dawsey for about the last 70 laps to take the win. And this would easily eclipse that of his biggest win of the year and his career.
Casey White's kind of stopped there at the, now he gets going again. RJ goes by him less than 2 minutes on lap 391 for RJ Norton Jr.
I think you're going to find that this is going to be a pretty popular win with the other drivers in the pit area. RJ's pretty well liked, a fun-loving guy, likes to have a good time and just come out and race, not worry about points in the last few years, just come out trying to win. Norton taking this lead. I think we're going to see a pretty awesomely emotional victory lane if RJ has managed to hold on for this victory as we near the 1 minute mark to go left in this race. Has to be special for Norton.
1 minute and 15 seconds for RJ Norton Jr. Through the north end, maybe about 3 or 4 laps to go. About 8 more times through the crossover does RJ Norton Jr. have to navigate successfully, and he will be a World Figure 8 champion.
I think we're going to see one heck of a celebration here too, Jonathan. He might burn the tires plumb off this car.
Norton under a minute now, 50 seconds remaining.
He's tried for so long and wanted to win this race, and has always said if he gets a little luck in it, he's going to win it big. And I tell you what, he's had a very clean, very successful night here at the Indianapolis Speedrome in the World Figure 8 Championship.
30 seconds for RJ Norton Jr. Probably 2 more laps until history is made.
Norton still got Bruce Tunney right there with him. The two have been inseparable seemingly for this last hour as Bruce tries to climb onto the podium.
10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Time has expired. 397. Oh, as he gets just touched by the 4. Hits and spins out, but it's around the corner, and the checkered flag, and RJ Norton Jr. becomes the 17th winner of the World Figure 8 Championship.
Watch him now. He's on the gas still. He's going to make an insurance lap right here. probably looking for a place to celebrate. Norton goes down the pit end to salute his crew as he goes through 4. Let's see what he does right here.
R.J. Norton Jr. is the 2010 World Figure 8 Champion as Larry Hahn hits the 4 of Mark Tunney, the 17 of Mark Tunney. Congratulations go out to the 69 of R.J. Norton Jr. He is the winner of the 34th Annual World Figure 8 Championship, and he's just sitting there taking it in.
I tell you what, I thought we was going to get a strictly wild celebration right there, but RJ's back there, I'm sure emotional, just taking in what has just happened to him right there. We'll see if he does something now that he's collected his thoughts. He's going to go down and look for the checkered flag to take that victory lap that he's been waiting for a racing lifetime.
R.J. Norton Jr. becomes the 17th different winner of the World Figure 8 Championship, the 4th first-time winner in a row in this event after so many years of domination from the different drivers who have won this race. He's getting congratulations from track owner and promoter of the greatest figure 8 race on the planet, Joel Cohen. He's got the checkered flag in his hand. And R.J. Norton Jr. salutes the fans with the checkered flag and makes the ceremonial victory lap as the winner of the 2010 World Figure 8 Championship.
You know, they say in racing, you know, they don't worry about the money because the honor's so big. He does win $20,000, but as you can hear the crowd screaming out there, just the honor of winning this title is overwhelming.
We will interview R.J. Norton Jr. in what is to be an emotional victory lane in just a minute. Take it in, folks, and we'll be back. You have been watching the 34th Annual World Figure 8 Championship, where R.J. Norton Jr. has won, covered by the World Figure 8 Network.
Professional video production at reasonable rate. Call Wood Innovative Group 435-9579 or visit our website at wigtv.com.
race unfolded. It's your first ever World Figure 8 Championship. Tell the folks here how it all unfolded.
I don't know where to begin, really. Oh, yeah, it was good. Starting out Thursday, the car was real good on old tires, and man, I'm tired a little bit.
Tell us about the battle early. Of course, you got out and led a lot of laps, and then you had battles with Jack, you had battles with Curtis, and you had battles with Chris Harmon, and were able to win all three of them, and it paid her for you. Tell us about the battles through the race.
Yeah, it was good battles with Curtis, you know, and Jack. They lead for a while, lead or whatever, you know. They're both clean drivers, and I think Jack had a little incident at the end, didn't he? I seen him at the end, but I love racing with them guys. You know, you can run door to door and it's clean. You ain't never got to worry about it. Man, I just can't believe how good my car was.
RJ,
Bub, you're the man.
RJ, you've had some tough luck in the past here, and all tonight it seemed to go your way all night long. It seemed like you caught every break. You were able to dash off for tires and gas. It was almost a picture-perfect night.
It was. I've had a lot of bad luck here. You know, I've run good, and then something silly happened or whatever, you know, later in the race. But today, the good Lord was with me. I couldn't do nothing wrong, I don't think.
Nope.
I mean, it was every move I made was usually pretty good, and like I say, it was all right. I had a great time.
What were the conditions like there late, RJ? They were sliding and swerving all the way to the last lap or two.
Oh, yeah. I had a blast. The whole 3 hours, you know, with the street stocks. I mean, they all giving breaks, you know, good racers. I wish they'd put 50 of them in there. I love them.
Whoa! And battled with the heavyweights there. When Jack went out late in the race, you closed it down, and just a fantastic, fantastic ride for you here for the whole 3 hours.
Yeah, I wish I could have raced him to the end, you know. I'd like to beat him to the end, because when you beat him, you beat the best, you know. I mean, there's a lot of other drivers close to him or whatever, but, you know, he's got 6 and 7. That's pretty much says itself, you know. You ain't got to say nothing else.
How does it feel to get number 1 now?
Oh, man, that's great. I don't know. It ain't really sunk in yet.
We talked earlier tonight, and you said if I can just get to the 3 hours, I'll be happy. And you got to them, and number 1, position number 1 is all yours, and you got the champion and the bragging rights here. Happiest day of your life, maybe.
It is. And Jimmy Curry, I made it past an hour. Yeah, it was, man, I'm happier than heck. Bub, I don't know what I'd do without you. That boy of mine, he clicks on that thing and just on it, and he's had a rocket ship fast since Thursday, and man, he's good.
Kenny St. John, what do you got to say about this guy? Here's a guy who's won 6. There's a guy who's got his first ever. Kenny?
Congratulations, R.J. Norton. You did a hell of a job. You was in the traffic all night long. You picked them off one after one. You pulled it off, R.J. Norton, $20,000 world champion.
RJ, this was a great run you put together. Who's helped you put it together?
Oh, man, my boy and my wife, United Auto, Brad, Frank, Steve, Bob. Say I'm kind of speechless. Like I say, United Auto Salvage helped me. Hart's Auto Center, Jack and Jennifer are great. Kitley Ann. Casey White and them helped me. They did. Yeah, Yard Arm. What else on there? I don't even know.
All right, well, we have some presentations to make it formal here. The trophy and the presentation of the winner's check. Jonathan Bird.
R.J. Norton Jr., you're the 17th different World Figure 8 champion. You can be called now a World Figure 8 champion. Tell me, how does it feel?
Oh, man, it feels awesome. They say there's only 17 in the world. That's a pretty elite group, ain't it? Out of all the racers. Yeah. Special to be a part of that, I guess.
We're also a part of another club. I just recently lost my father. You recently lost your father. They're both looking down on us now. You winning this race, your dad's looking down on you. That's got to be very, very special.
Yeah, it is. I wish he was here. Man, he'd be tore up if he was here. I can tell you that. He'd be crying and carrying on, and he'd have me messed up too. Yeah, I wish he was here.
RJ the third there, over there, your son, tears in his eyes this entire interview. He made the decision to not race this race to help you out.
He did, yep.
Did that mean a huge deal for you and help win this race?
I couldn't have won it without him. There's no possible way. There's no way I could have won it without him. I got to have him to win, and I think he's got to have me to win. We're better when I'm helping him and he's helping me. Man, he worked on this thing all week, and I mean, since we unloaded it Thursday, it's been fast. He's made all the right calls, and he's did all the right things. He stayed up till 5 o'clock this morning, you know, working on it. I went home, went to bed, you know, so I get some rest. I couldn't do it without him. There's just no possible way.
You battled all night long with Jack Dossie Jr. You fell down a couple laps. You got back those laps after his pit stop, and then he had his trouble. But nonetheless, Jack, when you saw the 69 go into first place on that electronic message board, what were your thoughts?
Gas on it, just wide open. That's my style, you know. I've tried laying back before and got messed up, and I was just pretty much on the gas all night long, and that's my style, you know. It's the way I started out, and it worked out tonight, that's for sure.
You said you didn't go to bed till 5 o'clock this morning. I've got a feeling that you won't be going to bed till 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon.
No, you're right. No, I went to bed at 1 o'clock. Okay. The boys stayed up till 5 o'clock working on the car and getting it ready. You're right. I probably won't go to bed till tomorrow. Yeah, I'm sure of it.
RJ Norton, congratulations for the 34th annual World Figure 8 Champion. $20,000, the wreath, the 5-foot trophy, $20,000.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah!
RJ Norton Jr., he wins the 34th annual World Figure 8 Championship, the $20,000 check. He's the man. RJ Norton Jr. wins $20,000. Claiming this $20,000 check. Unbelievable.
Ladies and gentlemen, he's a three-time winner of the Kenny's Auto Sales 100, the biggest race for the stock division at the Indianapolis Speedrome. But tonight, Larry Hahn, you've earned $5,000 as the top finishing super stock in the 34th Annual World Figure 8 Championship.
Yeah, I mean, it seems unreal. I'm glad we are. I wish we'd have won it last year too, but Matt Clark did a real great job. I'd like to thank all my sponsors that got me here. Morello Motorsports, he helped me out so much. Gary Thompson, B&B Used Tires, man, and my wife, soon-to-be wife, Angie, my kids, Jordan, I love you guys. I love you, Brandon. This is my kids, man. They do without a lot for me racing all the time. My son won Rookie of the Year. I'm so proud of him. It feels unreal being here.
Larry, we talk about the fatigue factor in a 3-hour endurance race like this. When you got out of the car, it took you several minutes to compose yourself. You were physically and emotionally drained at the end of this contest.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a grueling race. It's a long race. I really, be honest with you, I didn't know how I was going to finish tonight after last night's draw. I drawed dead last. Man, without everybody's help, I wouldn't be here right now. I appreciate everybody. Michelle, Roy, Dave Gordon, I'm forgetting anybody, Chip, Mike Adams, Lori, Rick, all his kids, man, they helped me out so much they don't understand. Speedy TP, Nigel, Dave Peters, Jimmy Kirby won the championship. Congratulations to everybody this year, and I hope everybody had fun.
And ladies and gentlemen, here comes the check. A $5,000 payday goes to Larry Hahn as the top finishing super stock competitor in the 34th Annual World Figure 8 Championship here at the Indianapolis Speedrome. Emotions run high not only for race winner RJ Norton, but our top finishing super stock campaigner, Larry Hahn.
For the final time for the 34th Annual World Figure 8 Championship, welcome back with Speedrome News Director Scott and I'm Jonathan Bird. What a race it's been, Scott.
Yeah, it's been awesome tonight. We saw so many wild things go on, and we had a first-time winner come out being the World Figure 8 Champion.
RJ Norton Jr., your winner tonight. We'll go through here the top 15, and for all results, you can always log on to speedrome.com. Top 15 tonight look like this. RJ Norton Jr. in that number 69 machine, a familiar number he's raced for many years, in the first position tonight. Winner of the 34th Annual World Figure 8 Championship, Chris Harmon from Brooks, Kentucky, finishes just a couple laps down in second. Scott, we were close to having that third out-of-towner win the World Figure 8 Championship.
Yeah, not only that, he would have equaled the feat his father had accomplished back in 1986.
The three-time world champion Bruce Tunney finishes in that third spot. The two-time world champion Curtis McMurtry finishing fourth. A good race for Curtis.
That's right. He was in the mix late for the victory. He just got caught up in that wild third turn crash that had several cars piled on top of each other.
Chris Green makes a great return to the World Figure 8 Championship, a top 5 for him. Mark Tunney, the pole sitter tonight, finishes in the 6th spot. Six-time champion Jack Dossie Jr. finishes in that 7th spot. He was hoping for that 7th win tonight.
That's right, and he was in the hunt late. He and RJ battled for the lead several times, and just one too much damage there at the crossover that last time for Dossie.
88 world champion Leonard Basham in the 8th position. From Newport Richey, Florida, finishing 9th, Seth Nistick. Good drive for him. Ben Tunney, the 2009 World Figure 8 Championship, rounds out the top 10. Then we have the highest finishing rookie, Jay Henson, in 11th. Wayne Calkins from Florida finishing in the 12th spot. The highest finishing super stalker, Larry Hahn, we'll talk more about him in just a second. You saw his great interview there from Paul Small. He finishes 13th. 14th was Jerry Vanderhoof from Rockford, Michigan, probably close to one of his best finishes in his World Figure 8 Championship career. And the second highest finishing super stalker, Mike Burgess, in that 00, round out the top 15. And for more results and the whole rundown, you can click on the World Figure 8 Championship link on speedrome.com. Looking through some of the lap changes, we had 10 lead changes, 5 different leaders. RJ Norton, 5-time leader tonight for 227 of the 397 laps ran tonight. And Scott, we had some great, interesting things going through all the awards. Let's start with the Sun Eaton Award.
That's right. Jay Henson from California won that. It's the 3rd time that a driver from California has won that award. He did an amazing job of soldiering through the night. He was in several minor crashes, had the radiator knocked out of it at one point, but came home 11th tonight to earn that rookie award.
The Sonny Thompson Award for Best Improvement in Position goes to Chris Green.
That's right. Chris Green, as you mentioned earlier, a successful return to the World Figure 8 Championship. He just barely eked into the starting field, making the final row there, and marched all the way up to 5th at the very end.
A 26th position improvement for Chris Green. The Kinney's Auto Sales Award, you saw the interview with Larry Hahn, an emotional award-winning interview there. $5,000 for the highest finishing Superstock award driver tonight is Larry Hahn. The best finishing out-of-towner today, Chris Harmon. Chris Harmon finishing 2nd, like we talked about earlier. And the Big Nasty Creepers Pole Award went to Mark Tunney. And the Big Nasty Creepers Pole Award for the Super Stalkers was Nigel Peters in that incredible run during qualifications earlier on in the race. Again, log on to speedrome.com for your best source of information for the world's home of the figure 8. Speedrome.com has pictures, video highlights, point standings, up-to-the-minute results, schedules, plus so much more. If you need information for the track, log on to the record-setting website, the record-breaking speedrome.com. And if you want to get an interview, if you want to have a World Figure 8 Championship official DVD, you can relive all the magic for the 3-hour test of Man and Machine. It's only $20 plus $5 in shipping and handling. And you can call the Speedrome Trackside Hotline at 317-353-8206 or log on to speedrome.com. And I know you'll love to add this race to your collection, Scott and I.
Oh, I can't wait for it.
Indianapolis Speedrome, World Figure 8, World Figure 8 Tour, World Figure 8 Cars, World Figure 8 Championship, greatest Figure 8 race on the planet, World's Home of the Figure 8, Home of the Figure 8, and World Figure 8 Network are all registered trademarks of Checkered Flag Enterprises, LLC, doing business as the Indianapolis Speedrome, and is copyrighted property and registered trademark and service marks of the Indianapolis Speedrome. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of the pictures and accounts of this race without express written consent of the Indianapolis Speedrome is strictly prohibited. Well, Scott and I, where do we go from here? I mean, it was a fantastic race. I'm looking forward to next year.
Yeah, we've had some incredible World Figure 8 Championships the last few years. It just keeps getting better and better, and now we roll on to that 35th anniversary edition next year.
September 8th to the 10th, 2011 will be the World Figure 8 Championship weekend next year. For the greatest Figure 8 race on the planet, there'll be $75,000 up for grabs all weekend long. So we'll be looking forward to having you. You want to make sure you'll get your tickets. Log on to speedrome.com for more information. The executive producer of the World Figure 8 Network is Joel Cohen.
We want to thank Joel and Bill Cohen and the entire Cohen family for their stewardship and care of the World Figure 8 Championship. Tonight's producer and director was Barney Wood. Thanks to Paul Clampett and Keith Graybill for providing the excellent camera work for this evening's festivities. And most of all, we want to thank you, the fans. It's been a pleasure and a privilege, and we hope you have enjoyed our coverage of the greatest figure 8 race on the planet. That wraps it up here from the Indianapolis Speedrome. For Paul Small, Speedrome News Director Scott Nye, and our entire World Figure 8 Network crew, this has been John the Bird saying goodbye from the home of the World Figure 8, the Indianapolis Speedrome, where R.J. Norton Jr. has been crowned World Champion of the 34th Annual World Figure 8 Championship. Good night, everybody.